Hello NFL fans and welcome back to the Wall of NFL YouTube channel. A couple of months ago I made my predictions for the 2021 season as to what records each team was going to get and whether they'd finish top or bottom of their division. And in this video I'm going to be talking about any changes I want to make to that, whether I think they'll do better, worse or the same as what I thought 2 months ago. This is going to be my part 1 where I'll be doing the AFC with the NFC coming up in a couple of days. So starting off with the AFC North and the Bengals, I think the Bengals are going to do the same as what I thought 2 months ago. I think they're going to go 6-11. I don't have an awful lot of faith in that team, despite them revamping the offensive line and getting Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase seems like he prepares for his games by putting butter on his hands. So in the his second preseason game, he made like 3 or 4 terrible drops, and I was really not impressed. Joe Burrow also hasn't had a snap in preseason or last season since he tore his ACL in week 10, which is quite nervy, and over the offseason he's thrown out a lot of questions, questioning himself whether he's going to be able to be back to what he was in those first 10 weeks. So I'm a little bit worried about the Bengals. I didn't quite take them down a notch to 5-12, but I am quite worried about them, so I think 6-11 is about right for them. Now onto the Browns. The Browns, I think, are going to go 11-6, kind of the opposite of what I thought about the Bengals. The Browns are a really good team. They've got a fantastic roster. Their front seven defensively is really good, and I'm very impressed by how their coach has really changed that team around since Freddie Kitchens was involved a short time ago. He's really helped that team to develop, and despite Baker Mayfield somewhat holding them back from being able to get to the Super Bowl and potentially win it, I do think they're going to have a good season and potentially finish top of the division, tied with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are going to have a really good season if Lamar Jackson is able to throw the ball just as well as he runs it. Well, not just as well as he runs it, because that would be phenomenal. He's a great runner and the offense really revolves around him. So if Lamar stays on the field and is able to run and throw and really create problems for that defense, they're going to have a good year. The Ravens always have a good defense, and they're in good hands with John Harbaugh, head coach. The Steelers, I think, are going to take a real step back from what they were last season, even in the year before. I think this will be their first season in like 19, 20 years where they go negative. I think they're going to go 8-9. And so I actually think that all of these teams are going to be just as good as I thought they were 2 months ago. But I do think Big Ben, he has only had a couple of drives in the preseason, which I think is a good thing because they really need to preserve his arm if they're going to succeed late into the season, opposed to what they did last year where they kind of faltered and collapsed. With the running game now with Najee Harris, I think it could take a step up and it will really take the onus off of Big Ben having to make all the plays for them. I think them going 1-5 towards the end of last season is really not a good sign. So I think the Steelers are actually going to finish 8-9, unfortunately for all Steelers fans. Now onto the AFC East division, and I actually don't think there's going to be any changes in this division either from what my predictions suggested 2 months ago. I think that the Bills are still going to go 13-4, and really they have a fantastic chance to win it all because Sean McDermott is a really good head coach, and considering they don't have many big names on defense or on offense either for that matter, I think that it really goes to show how well he coaches that team. I think that they have Josh Allen, who is by far the best quarterback and definitely an elite quarterback at that. I have Josh Allen third on my QB rankings going into the 2021 season, so I think they're in really safe hands with him at quarterback and Sean McDermott at head coach. They also have Stephon Diggs, who is a game-changing wide receiver, so I have them going to the championship game in the 2021 season. I think the Dolphins will finish 11-6 with no change to my previous prediction 2 months ago, and I think they have actually got the best secondary in the NFL. I think defensively they are really top-notch, top 5 in the league, and with that secondary helping them take it all the way, I think they are brilliant. I've got to say, I think their offense, there's a bit of a struggle there. I'm not sure if Tua can get it out to all of their weapons. They've got Waddle, they've just got drafted in the draft, in 2021 draft. They've also got Mike Gesicki at tight end, and yeah, a whole bunch of running backs that are really good. So I believe in the Dolphins, but my only hesitation would be Tua. I've got the Patriots at 10-4. I think they'll bounce back after last season's failure, finishing 8-9, their first losing season in decades. I think they're going to be really brilliant again. I think that Mac Jones starting at quarterback is going to give them a good opportunity to take a step away from Cam Newton and get back to their roots. Mac Jones is a lot more similar to Tom Brady, and they can really get back to who they were over these last 2 decades, where they were so dominant. And I think that this year, whilst they will finish third, I still think they'll make the playoffs, and it'll be a next step in rebuilding that team and getting back to winning ways for them. I think the Jets still really stink, so I think they're going to finish 5-12. They have got their quarterback for the future, Zach Wilson, and their coach, Robert Saleh. And I actually do believe that these two are the guys that are going to turn everything around. Saleh is a brilliant head coach who a lot of players really want to play for, so that he's going to be really attractive into bringing in talent. And also Zach Wilson has shown in the preseason that he's got a really strong arm, and he's going to be really tough to deal with for defenses if the rest of the offense and the offensive line can get their act together and support him. Again, though, it may take a couple of years, so we'll see how they are in 2023, but I think definitely 5-12 is going to be their record for this season. I think this AFC South division is possibly one of the worst, but it has got 2 really good teams in it. I think that the Colts are going to finish 10-7. I did think in 2 months ago that they were going to finish top of the division and go 11-6, but now I think they're going to go 10-7 and lose an extra game to the Titans. I think that Carson Wentz has really been playing up a little bit since he joined the Colts. He's been on the COVID list, he's had another injury, and I just don't really see it working now. A lot of doubts have entered my mind about it, so I don't know if I trust them anymore. The Jaguars, I think, are going to be really terrible again, despite having Trevor Lawrence now and Urban Meyer head coach. I think Urban Meyer is going to take a few games at least to really get used to how the NFL works. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be similar. It looked like he had a few growing pains in the preseason because normally he's on a team that's really good at Clemson, and he was so fantastic. He had time in the pocket. He didn't have to run around too much. And in the preseason, we saw a lot of just statuesque movement in the pocket. He was staying very still. He was holding the ball too long. And I think he's really got to work that out of his system. I think that the Texans are really terrible. They're going to go 0-17, and I don't expect them to win a game at all. I feel really sorry for their head coach, David Culley, who has inherited just a dreadful team. If they can get Deshaun Watson back from his off-season trouble with the law, I guess they could win 2 to 4 games, but I really have no faith in that team at all. So 0-17 is what they're going to finish without Deshaun Watson. I think that the Titans, as I said, are going to win an extra game over the Colts, and they're the team that's now going to win the division. And I do think that really that's how it should have been this whole time. I don't know why I thought the Colts were going to do better, but the Titans, I think that they've got Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, Ryan Tannehill, and AJ Brown as well, and I think that is just a real star-studded offense. There are a few questions about that offensive line, but does it really matter when you've got Derrick Henry? I think their defense is also a little bit shaky and not one of the best, but with that offense, I think they'll still win games, and Mike Vrabel is a really good head coach. The AFC West, I think, is pretty done and dusted the way it is. The Chiefs are no doubt going to finish top of it with a 15-2 record, which definitely has no change from what it was before. If anything, I'd give them an extra win because they're so dominant, especially in the regular season. And with Patrick Mahomes, anything is possible. They're aiming for a 20-0 season this year, is what Patrick Mahomes says. And I actually don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. They are a fantastic team, and with Mahomes, literally what I said, anything is possible. The Chargers are going to finish second in this division, and I think they're going to go 11-6. A lot of people, a lot of analysts and reporters and sports heads think that they're going to do a little bit worse than 11-6, but I have a lot of faith in them. They've got a number of players coming back off of injury. They've got Derwin James, and they've got Joey Bosa as well, coming off of injury at defensive end, and I think he's going to have a really crazy year as well. So that defense is really going to step up, and they've really revamped their offensive line as well. So I think that Herbert is going to have a lot more time in the pocket to throw. So I have a lot of faith in the Chargers this year to make a massive improvement. I think Brandon Staley can't make any worse decisions than the head coach did last season. They made some really bad calls in the fourth quarter, so I expect there to be a lot of improvement with game time decisions as well. I think the Broncos are going to actually get an extra win on the Raiders compared to what I previously thought 2 months ago. I think they're going to finish 7-10 now and finish third in the division, just ahead of the Raiders on head-to-head matchup, because I think the Broncos have a really good defense. Adding Patrick Surtain to the secondary and having Von Miller rushing the quarterback is always going to cause problems. I think that their offense is still a little bit shaky. Having Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback is just a recipe for averageness, to be honest. He's the league's placeholder quarterback, and whatever team has him is pretty much looking for a new quarterback in the next season, but just need a guy to throw the ball, be safe, not throw an interception. And Teddy Bridgewater, he's that guy. I think the Raiders are kind of in the opposite situation to the Broncos. I think that they're not very well run. Their GM and head coach are really making the team a bit worse, if I'm honest. I think that the only good thing about them is the quarterback. Derek Carr has been brilliant over the last couple of seasons, with his signature win over the Chiefs last year, kind of silencing the haters. And I've got to say, I think that Derek Carr is the real deal. I don't know if he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think he's definitely going to be a guy who can help the Raiders just not finish so badly. I think he might even help John Gruden to keep his job for a few more years. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about my predictions or my amended predictions for the AFC in 2021. Please comment down below what you think all the records are going to be and who's going to win each division. I'd be really interested to know what you guys think. Please also follow our Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, A Wall of NFL. And also we have started a new TikTok, so any YouTube short will be going up on TikTok as well. Don't forget to check out our website. We've got a few articles coming your way. Also, I've rated all of the top 32 starting quarterbacks, and you can find that on the website as well. Also, please check out our video about the NFC amended predictions coming up later this week.